There we go. Okay, that would not come down, you all. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Daughters of Esther, or DOE, as we like to call it here. DOE is an organization developed to empower, uplift, and encourage in a world that has been successful at keeping us focused on the negative. Our goal here is to ensure that you remember there is light at the end of the tunnel. We understand that there are layers to you and your healing. And just like you, DOE is comprised of multiple layers. We have our online Instagram and Facebook page that provide uplifting and motivational posts, quick pictures, and quotes to get you through your day. We have our moments of motivation, which are brief motivational messages. And we also have our wow segments. And we are also going into the actual community. So today we are bringing you the Women of Wisdom, also known as our WOW segment. These WOW segments, again, are designed to evoke real conversation with real people, starting the process of real healing. We hope you will enjoy this segment tonight and join us by sharing your thoughts, your story, and ask a lot of questions, you all. You can do this by dropping your comments and questions in the comments bar below. We encourage you to share and subscribe via our Facebook and Instagram page at DOE Empower, and revisit these messages as they are constantly being restreamed on YouTube or the Facebook page. And the YouTube page is Daughters of Esther DOE. So tonight's WOW segment will address the emotional baggage that we've gotten used to carrying. Emotional or mental baggage is a term used to describe all of the unresolved emotional issues, trauma, stresses from the past and present that occupy your mind and even your body. One study actually found that emotional baggage can be a real barrier to making healthy lifestyle changes, even things such as exercising more, eating healthier, or even quitting smoking. This baggage can also interfere with professional ambition or goals, and even your healthy relationships, you all. So, we're asking that you come with us tonight as we unpack our baggage in order to be all that we are called to be. So I am elated, beloved, to host some really amazing women today. And we are looking to really just kind of communicate a little bit more about what we have gone through, what we have overcome, and what we're even looking to unpack. So I am actually going to start by introducing myself, and then I'm going to ask our panelists tonight, in 2 minutes, tell us who you are and what extra baggage you've been saying that you needed to be unpacked. So I'll start first. For me, I'm going to be very honest, you guys. My baggage has probably been resentment and some anger. So I am the founder of Daughters of Esther. My name is Aisha Brooks. And I sometimes didn't realize that I was carrying emotional baggage that sometimes didn't even belong to me. What I realized is I was focusing on other people's problems and letting their problems sometimes weigh me down. And I got to be honest, we're in a new year, and I don't know that that's a baggage I kind of want to carry this year. So, ladies, what about you? Miss Coltrane, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what baggage have you been saying that you need to unpack?
Well, my name is Tausia Coltrane. I am a wife and a mother of three small children. Um, and I guess some of the baggage that I have dealt with in the past, and it just kind of continues to come up, is unmet needs. And dealing with unmet needs can lead to anger. It can trigger down because you feel like you should get something, you're entitled to something, and you don't get it. And here comes that anger. So I think that's something that I have dealt with in the past, and continue to need to unpack it daily.
I love that. Can I tell you, unmet needs? That is something I think we all can.
That's
We
different.
all, yeah, we all might be able to put a space in that piece of luggage. That is something I might have to look it back in my luggage and see if those pounds consist of some unmet needs. Miss
Hmm.
Bush, tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you planning to unpack tonight?
My name is Arnesia Bush. This is awesome because this is right up my lane. I am a certified professional life coach, so this is something that I deal with on a daily basis. But what's so interesting about this segment is that I can actually talk about my emotional baggage, and I do have some as well. Just because I help others achieve their goals, that doesn't mean that life doesn't stop for me. I definitely have some emotional baggage, and this is going to help me kind of figure out what it is. But the unmet needs was interesting because I think that I've struggled with that for a very long time and didn't even know it. And I was going to say something else, but you pretty much just took the words like unmet needs. That's something that I've been dealing with since I was maybe a little girl, not feeling like I got everything that I felt was deserved to me. And like she said, I held resentment for that. And in my adult life, what am I doing? I am trying to avoid any situations where I feel that if you're not going to give me 100%, then I avoid it. That's very interesting.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, that is actually the whole purpose of these segments because sometimes we're so quick to be able to identify someone else's pinpoint their ailments and what they struggle from that we don't often turn the mirror back on us to say, okay, what's keeping me in this rut? I'm curious though. You said you were going to say something else. What was the something else? I don't think you get to get off and just say, I'm not going to say it. So what is it?
Well, I feel like this emotional baggage is something that everybody can kind of relate to,
Yeah.
which is unforgiveness. Sometimes I have a hard time, as Christians, we're supposed to forgive, but sometimes it's hard to forgive people
Yeah.
for them doing things. It's just, it's difficult sometimes to me, especially when I'm thinking to myself, like, are you doing this on purpose? Like, what are you doing? It's just, I have a hard time. It's like, granted, I may say I forgive you, but my actions may still be like, but I have a hard time figuring out forgiveness and actually just completely avoiding people. So
Mm.
I would consider that to be my emotional baggage because I don't know how to cross in between. I don't know how to forgive you, but still deal with you. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't do you have to still deal with somebody after you forgive them? I think you have to protect your peace. So I'm not going to allow you to hurt me
Well, that's
continuously
why I
over and
go
over
that's
again.
why
Once
I
I forgive,
go into yeah, that's why I go into the whole avoidance thing, meaning like I just if I can't it's like I could forgive you, but then I have to just kind of like separate myself from you. That's for the situation. So I battled with this for a while, trying to figure out like, is this a toxic trait or am I just very secure or take baby steps when it comes to guarding like my heart. It's
I
like I
love
have
that.
to, yeah.
No, I was gonna say I love that you kind of mentioned it, and I love, Lady Coltrane, that you literally were like, okay, do you have to? And I think one of the things when we're carrying the baggage around, that it has an effect on how we handle day to day activities. Easily, some of our emotional baggage could easily cause us to spend more money. It could cause us to do unhealthy traits. I think it's very interesting that the question is, do you have to continue to go back with them? The emotional baggage could be the fact that I forgave you, but now I'm not going to work through what I'm going through, which could easily lead to the avoidance. And that alone
Hmm.
could be baggage because what if I do hands down believe that protecting your peace is important? Y'all know me, I'm all about the boundaries. But again, I think to that point, are you choosing to take the road that's toxic and not work through that issue, or are you automatically choosing to close them out? Or do you say, okay, I'm going to be the better person and try to do this over? And I think those are fine lines. Beloved, as you all are out there, I want you all to definitely chime in, tap in, and tell us what kind of emotional baggage are you all overcoming or trying to overcome at this particular stage of your life. And you know what, if you've learned to let go, I want you to make sure you drop that in the comments, because here's the deal: not all of us have learned to let go some things. Not all of us have learned to figure it out. And as much as it's easy for us to help someone else, we still haven't been able to help ourselves. So definitely I want you all to tap in and continue to make sure that we hear your voice. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments. We're going to pick them right on up. So we're kind of going into the question that I kind of want to ask. Is this baggage that you're carrying something you intentionally or unintentionally packed? Or are you carrying this baggage on behalf of someone else? So when I say carrying it on behalf of someone else, oftentimes what I've seen, when my husband and I have counseled some people or sat down with people, is they have been children of um, parents or households that may not have been peaceful, is how I'll put it. And so, because they grew up in an environment that did not necessarily look or act the way that it should, they didn't realize that they were carrying anger towards men, resentment towards women. They didn't realize that they were carrying that baggage, and it was nothing they intentionally went through. They saw someone else going through it, and now it's become something that they basically are like, listen, if I hear one more time from somebody saying, men ain't this, I'm not saying anybody's perfect, but this is pretty much where I think we've sometimes heard people say, you've gone through it, so therefore this is my perception of men, or women can't be trusted. This is my perception of women. What do you all think? What's the baggage you carry? Is it intentional? Is it unintentional?
You want to go first, or
You can go first.
okay? I would probably say it might be unintentional. I think I think honestly because it's just something that just occurs. You don't realize it until you start saying to yourself, like, man, I have really changed as a person. And you start looking back like, what happened? And I think it turns into intentional because you kind of see how you're benefiting from it, or you are um, not just benefiting from it, but you're also destroying relationships in the process because of this emotional baggage that you just picked up over time. And let's just keep it real. Like, emotional baggage comes from what? It comes from hurt, it comes from disappointment,
Traumas.
um, trauma, it comes from addictions, it comes from different struggles that we deal with. It comes from life. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that you just can't escape. Everybody on the planet has an emotional baggage. Everybody is carrying it. I know we do this thing every year where, and you also see the little what you call it? The the little things on Instagram where it's showing like, oh, you're stepping into a new year, leave all that other stuff behind. And this kind of brings me into my next point, which is it's kind of hard to leave all of that behind, or it's kind of hard to leave stuff like that behind because your environment hasn't changed. And a lot of people feel like, oh, I can just leave all of that here, but still walking into the same environment. And, it is difficult to leave certain environments. So I think that over time, it starts off unintentional, but it changes into intentional, if that makes any sense.
Yep. I love it. And I have a
Okay.
follow-up question based off of something you said. Lady Coltrane, what do you think?
I I kind of piggyback off of what she said. It starts off unintentional, but it can definitely turn into something intentional. I know for me, dealing with unmet needs, and not necessarily, I mean, it can happen, but in romantic relationships, but in any type of relationship, when you think about what you feel like you deserve or how people interact in different relationships, I have to continuously remind myself, not everybody does things like you. Not everybody's going to handle the situation like you. So that, therefore, that is the reason that need may not be met. Um, and in thinking about that, it's a good thing that not everybody is, not like me. But in having to accept that and deal with it and figuring out, I'm not going to continue to carry this. I can choose to stay in this type of relationship where I feel like I'm giving more than I'm receiving, or if I'm there for somebody more than they are there for me. I can choose to stay in that, or I cannot choose to stay in that, and just dealing with it
Mm-hmm.
and unpack that bag and and leave it right where it is. I don't want that weight. I
Mm-hmm.
think she said, it can become intentional until we decide, hey, I'm not going to deal with this anymore, and learn how to deal with it.
I love it. And I want to kind of point out there are some people who are in denial what they have that they have baggage or what they've packed. I'm in total agreement with it. I think when we start looking at, and I don't want to forget the comment I was going to bring up, which is kind of like a sidebar question, but I think that is exactly the point. I think some people, if they're in an environment that they cannot get away from, they have learned to basically say, it's not my baggage, it's your baggage. I don't have this baggage. Or maybe I don't have any baggage at all because I've learned to suppress that in other ways, which I think comes from the excessive spending money, excessive shopping, or the addiction. You know, we tend to kind of cover up those areas in different ways. But here's my question to you all. You made a very, very good point, Arnesia. Um, they are not able to leave their environment. So they can't get away from the emotional baggage because they're yet sitting in the same environment. How do we encourage someone to basically learn to evolve while sitting in a situation? What if they are unable to get out of it, or they feel like they're unable to get
Ooh.
out of it?
I think first you have to acknowledge, hey, this is going
Mm-hmm.
on. This is the emotion that I feel. This is what it's causing
Mm-hmm.
me to do. Maybe I am the cause of it. Maybe I am not. Now, what next? In psychology, I was in school for a while, but the first time I was in school, my degree was in psychology. So you do what you call the ABC diagram, the antecedent, the behavior, and the consequence. So you have to figure out what happened before this behavior. Is it my behavior? Is it somebody else's behavior? What is the consequence of
Mm.
it? I
Mhm.
acknowledge the emotion. I share it with somebody. There has to be, not everybody has somebody that you trust, but find somebody that you can talk to share that emotion, share that experience, and figure out how to get help. How can I deal with it? I may not be able to flee this environment right now, but how do I deal with it? How do I not succumb to what I'm going through? But how do I figure out how to overcome it?
Shout out
I
to
say,
psychology majors.
I say that was a good point with the psychology. I like that. But I say, let's say, what are those environments? I mean, they could be anything from it could be anything from your family.
Mm-hmm.
Can't leave your family.
Mhm.
It could be school. It could be work. It may very well even be the church. So it's just one of those things. I mean, come on now. It's just one of those things where you have to ask yourself, okay, is this environment, is it in change? Is it changeable or is it not changeable? So if it's not changeable and you feel like this is it for me, then you have to ask yourself, is this worth it? Me going through all of this emotional stress and baggage and collecting more. Like, is it worth it for me to stay here and deal with this? Or is it better for me to just leave and go do something else? Then if you say, no, I have to stay, then you have to ask yourself, is this bringing out the best in me? Or is this bringing out the worst in me? Because a lot of times people that it's like a blur line, and especially I don't want to go churchy, but as far as Christianity is concerned, a lot of people feel like this is their mission, their life goal is to suffer and all that, the long suffering and things like that. And people say, oh, well, I got to go through this. And, if Jesus went through this, that I can get through this too. And all this other stuff that they put out there, pretty much encouraging you to stay in toxic situations, right? So
Ooh.
that's the problem. It's like we're walking this blurred line as to what is it like, how am I supposed to deal with this? Because there has been people, y'all, there has been so many people dealing with emotional baggage for years, decades, to the point now that they don't even know that they are completely shut down
Yeah.
and numb. It's like they have accepted it and said, this is just my life. This is just what I'm going to deal with. And I hate to see people in those positions because it's really unfortunate. It's sad. It's really unfortunate that you literally just gave your life up just to suffer for the cause. whatever the cause may be, but you decided to just give your life up. And that's unfortunate. And that's a place where I feel I don't want to be. I know you guys don't want to be. So the question you asked was, what can you say to a person who's in that situation? And like Lady Coltrane said, when she said that, find someone within the situation and have someone to talk about it with. Talking is always the best route for me, and I feel like it should be the best route for everybody. But I know everybody doesn't know how to effectively communicate how they're feeling. So I would say journal it down to where you can write it out and get that out. That's the whole purpose of emotional baggage. You don't want it to sit. You want to be able to get it out. So any way to get it out is always the best route for me. And I suggest that for anybody else. That's always the best route. Just get it out some way. And if you're in an environment where you don't feel comfortable, go out that environment and find somebody to talk about that with. It could be a complete stranger. Go talk about it, get it out, and trust me, you'll feel 100 times better. So that's
Listen,
my take on it.
y'all came to preach today. Amen. I need to show this because while you were talking, we ended up getting this comment, and I was like, if this ain't a message, this is exactly what I think you ladies are kind of talking about. Glenn Brooks says some baggage are meant to be checked in, but we keep taking them as carry-ons.
Ooh,
This is a message, you all. There is some stuff
all
that I
right.
definitely think you're not supposed to be taking with you, that you're meant to
Wow.
kind of check it somewhere else. And I feel like that's kind of what you ladies were going towards. It's a matter of what environment are you in? Is this the right environment? Is this really something you need to be, operating
Wow.
in? And I think that really comes from acknowledging it. One of the things that I want to also point out is you ladies have kind of said something that I don't know that we often I know, right? That was a word.
Wow.
That was a
That was
word.
a word.
That was a word. I think we don't, and I say we as in human beings, we don't necessarily want to pause and be accountable for our situations, because then that means we've got to look inside and kind of find one of the nastiest things about ourselves, or the things we don't like, and now we've got to deal with it. We have got
Mm-hmm.
to deal with it. And so
That's
I
right, Glenn. That
love,
was a word.
yeah, listen, that was something that he does that quite often. Let me tell y'all, he does that quite often. So I love that y'all have said this. Listen, y'all are flowing right into these next questions, because I want to know, how has these extra pounds affected your day-to-day life? How did your baggage did it affect any relationships that you all had? Let me tell you, for me, I had um some not so decent relationships, primarily because I was not able to let go of the baggage I had. And then I'm going to tell you what I personally did, because I'm sure I'm the only one in the world that does this. I started to impose that on the partner. So even when I
Mm.
first got married, there were things that I dealt with that I basically put on my husband, and they weren't even his. That baggage didn't have his name on it. He had never heard of it. He ain't ever seen it. He was like, I don't know where
Mm.
it came from. But I was like, well, this is my baggage. So therefore, it becomes your baggage, and we're dealing with it together. And that just kind of didn't allow us to fully heal as quickly as we probably could. It really
Wow.
did kind of set us back, because we were sharing baggage. What you say, Glenn? We were carrying them on when we probably should have checked them before we got into marriage. So that was me. I'm sure I'm the only one that forces somebody else to carry their luggage.
Wow.
What
No,
about you,
you're
ladies?
not.
What about you, ladies? How did it affect or impact, whether it's personal, professional? Did it impact any relationships that you all had?
I think for me, I think by nature I'm a forgiving person. I think I'm a forgiving person, but I don't necessarily allow people in easily. I think I used to. Um, But I think because of the experiences, experiences mold us into the people we become. So I think when I was younger, I let people in easier. My husband used to say, "You're so naive." Not everybody is your friend. I think I've had to learn that. The older I've gotten, I've learned that. So I think now that I have learned not everybody is like me, my needs won't be met. I don't think every relationship has to, benefit me. I'm not selfish in that way, but I do realize that I cannot continue to give to people who are not willing to even consider me. So I think at that point, that's when I realized I can no longer allow you to live rent free in my day, in my space, whether you're a friend, whether you are an associate, whether you are family. Um, I can't. Life is just too short to continue to carry things like Glenn said, that to carry things that are not meant to be carried and carried on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
As I was, thinking about emotional baggage, I think about this is a Christian organization. So I think about the woman with the issue, in the Bible, who was carrying this issue, and how the more weight you carry and the more weight you put onto things, you can become bent down and broken down, and you are no longer able to look up and realize, life is going on. You're so beat down and so downtrodden that you can only, think about the negative things and things, that are bad. So you have to let go of that weight in order to be able to live life as it was meant to be lived. So I think when I realized that, no more, I can't let this baggage weigh me down. Life is too short.
She
Amen to
said,
that.
Julie, you cannot live rent free in my space. It sounds like you are passing out eviction notices, Talia. I'm here for it. Some people in their situations might get some eviction notices. I'm here for eviction. What about you, Arnesia? Did any of this stuff ever affect you personally, professionally? How?
Carrying my emotional baggage. Oh, yeah. Several ways. I think for me, I think the biggest thing for me is it affects me in my future relationships with different people in a way where I know the term where it says innocent until proven guilty. Well, sometimes I have the mindset like you're guilty until I see that you're innocent, right? And I know that that's not the healthiest way to form relationships with new people. So I've gotten better at just kind of like letting my wall down and just allowing people to show me who you are instead of me just completely writing you off from the first whatever. And, like she said, she's like a very forgiving person. I feel like I feel like I'm working towards being a better forgiving person, but I feel that I am a person that I will give you the benefit of the doubt, meaning I will basically say, they didn't mean it that way, or it wasn't like that. I would do that a lot within, present relationships and new relationships until I realize, like, okay, this is affecting me. And I have the tendency of once I feel like this is affecting me and this is bringing out the worst in me, I shut down. I just cut it off. I shut down. I don't, it's just nothing. And I feel like that plays a major part in my life. Um, and that's something that I could do better at, I guess, just hearing people out as well, hearing what they have to say and understanding what they're having to say. And I think because I have been that emotional baggage, I have been hurt so much, I have been disappointed so many times. My trust in people is like, oh, 2%. It's just that affects me moving forward, meaning I don't trust anything that people tell me. And I'm learning. Somebody said to me, they said, they said, you need to watch. What did she say? She said, don't listen to what people are saying, right? She said, you need to watch. Don't just watch what they're doing. She said, you need to watch their patterns. And I was like, hmm, that is a very good synopsis. And I said to myself, I'm like, okay, I can do that. And that really helped me a lot because instead of me just watching, oh, they didn't do this and I'm whatever. No, I start to watch how people move. I start to watch their patterns. I start to watch their behavior. Somebody else said to me, when you want to know a person's true intentions, is to watch how they treat people who they want nothing from. And I was like, okay, that's another nugget that I can use and that I shall take. So over time, I tend to pick up different lessons because somebody said if you don't learn the lesson, it's going to have a tendency of repeating itself until you learn it. So I said to myself, I don't like living in repeat. I don't know who does like living in repeat, but I like to live moving forward. So in order for me to move forward, in order for you or anybody else to move forward, we have to learn how to deal with the lessons that life bring us. Because if we don't deal with them effectively and properly, they'll show up again. And then we're like, what is going on? Well, you didn't fully deal with that lesson. And then, church folk, they call it familiar spirits and all this, you know what I mean? Oh, that's that familiar spirit. It shows up again, right? Because you haven't dealt with it. And people have to understand it's going to keep showing up again and again and again in different forms, in different situations, in different people. So until you realize, I need to deal with this. And that's why the emotional baggage can affect us in our day to day. That's how it's affected me until I realized I have to deal with this. I don't like living in repeat.
Listen,
You
I
got to take the
remember.
test. You got to take the test until you pass it.
Come on. That's
Right,
exactly what I was going to say. I was going
right.
to say, y'all know those mothers would say, you're going to keep taking this test
You're going to keep taking this
until
test
you get it
until you
right.
pass it,
Until you pass
until
it.
you get it right.
Until you get it
So I
right.
know
That's
that to
it.
be true. So,
Jesus. That is it.
You
How
say
many
you're going to
times have
be
you
a
heard that?
30-year-old kindergartner.
Oh,
You're going to be a 30-year-old kindergartner.
listen.
ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that might be our next post. I will quote Dalcy and
It's
Coltrane.
amazing. It's amazing because people, they just grow up. They don't mature. They just get taller, but they're
She's
still the same. You know what I mean? So you have to, ooh,
she said
child,
you could be a 30-year-old kindergartner.
kindergarten.
I love
Mm.
that. I love that.
Even the Bible talks about that. You can't stay on milk always. You have to mature and eventually get on the meat.
Thank
So you're not
you.
always going to be on
Thank
milk.
you.
Yep. Yep. You
Thank
know,
you.
the funny thing is the Bible also talks about a fool not recognizing that they're a fool. So
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing about that is I'm going to tell you all, there have been some people, would you say that you're a grown kindergarten, a 30-year-old kindergartner, a 40-year-old kindergartner,
30-year-old
a
kindergartner. Wow.
50-year-old kindergartner?
Man.
Listen, I've seen a couple of them because they don't know. They're continuing to take the same test over and over and over, and they're not getting anywhere. Um, and I think primarily, again, it's acknowledgement and recognition of what you are going through, where you are, and where you want to be. And I'm going to tell you right now, what I'm hearing from y'all is you've got to have some level of a vision in order to know where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think I heard. I heard
Mm-hmm.
if there's no vision, you can't walk. You just blindly walking. You're blindly walking. Come on, Talsia. You look like you was about to drop a
I
word.
do.
Let me
I'm gonna
come
say,
on.
well, that and even you have to be willing to take accountability in every situation that you're in, because as long as you are in a
Yep.
situation,
Amen.
you have to take accountability for your part in whatever in whatever
Amen.
you're not always a victim. So
I hope y'all writing this
Amen.
down. She said, y'all not all the 30-year-old, what'd you say? 30-year-old kindergartners are not always victims. But I
And
think
what's so interesting, that's so interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead. I
no,
didn't
no,
mean to
no.
cut
I
you
don't
off.
want to go ahead. I'm stepping to the side. Come on, I decreased.
That is so interesting for her to say that because that is the reason of why people constantly carry their emotional baggage
Yep.
because they don't take the time out to just stop and say, you know what? let me take accountability for this. Let me see how I messed this up. And
Absolutely.
then we can continue on, because emotional baggage does not always come from the opposite person, right? Emotional baggage can come from within yourself.
Hmm.
So everybody's not always out to get you, and you are not always the victim. I like that.
I
And the reason
love
why
it.
people are so victimized, because they like carrying their emotional baggage.
Listen, some
It's
people just like to be,
comfortable.
yeah, it is comfortable. Some people like to be victims because it means I don't have to do the work. It's always everybody else's fault, which means I don't have to do the work. We want to not do the work all the time. And I think one of the things we fail to understand that in order to be at the top of our license, our authentic selves, it's going to come with some work, beloved. It doesn't matter what it is you have behind your name. And I don't care if you got Dr. JD, I don't care what kind of letters, what kind of collars, whatever you're wearing, your humanity will cause you to look within and
Hmm.
deny yourself. You literally have to die so you can live. Listen, I know that's a
Hmm.
spiritual thing, but in order for you to basically move forward, you got to deny yourself. What you say, Miss Caldwell? They want everyone to see their Gucci
That
bag.
Gucci bag.
Ah,
She said they want it. They want everybody to see it. I don't want you to see what's in it
woo,
though. I don't want you to see what's in it.
Lord
Right.
Jesus.
You
I
know,
just want
because
you to know I look good carrying it,
I just want you to
Not
know
the
I look good
Gucci
carrying
bag.
it. Because what you say,
but it's
Arnesia
hurting you.
was,
It's killing
it's
you to
hurting
carry
you.
it. You looking
It's
good,
hurting
but
your
it's
back,
killing
Ooh, that's funny.
but you look good. She said we can go through long suffering. We've talked ourselves into long suffering, and we look good doing it. I done put on some. Do you know how much we've invested in makeup, hair, jewelry? Literally just to open that package and we rotten on the inside. Somebody is
Oh,
rotten.
child.
And I'm gonna tell you, Andrea, somebody's carrying around fake Gucci's. Let's address that. That might be a next segment. Is your Gucci for real?
you. Got Flucci.
Is your it's a Slucci.
Oh, that's Uchi, honey. I cannot. Oh my gosh.
So I kind of want to be a little bit more. We've kind of covered a couple things. I love the way that we're going, ladies, because one of the things
Oh,
I was gonna
Jesus.
say, because y'all have been dropping some bangers. Listen, one of the things that I think is interesting is if we're putting it in the form of baggage, right? Sometimes, and one of the things you said, Talsia, is you were like, we don't want to, kind of listen or look or go through some things. What it took me to is, have y'all ever been in a situation where you literally came back, had some stuff in your baggage, and didn't remember that you had it in there or that you even knew you were carrying it around? It again could be me.
Mm,
I could have been shopping somewhere, opened it up, and was like, I didn't even know I had this. I
I've
didn't even
done
know
it.
I have
mm,
it. This thing could be packed away. You've packed this thing away in a compartment yet to be unseen, and you don't even know that you have it.
mhm.
So ladies and gentlemen, one of the things I want us to be, very mindful of, as the ladies have said, is be mindful to check every pocket, crevice of your luggage, everything that you've got inside of you, because you got to check your heart to first examine yourself before you can examine anybody else.
Mhm.
These ladies are spitting knowledge. Now, I kind of want to be a little bit more. I know we have men watching, so I really would love for y'all to tap in and give me your thoughts about this. But I kind of want to ask the ladies, why has it been so hard for us as women to drop our emotional baggage? And a hush falls over the crowd. And a hush falls over the crowd. Hello, lights.
Okay, I'll go. I'll go. No, I just play. No, I'll go. Um, I honestly feel like because we don't want to deal with it. That's how I honestly feel. We don't want to deal with it. We got so much stuff we got to deal with on a daily basis. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're taking care of kids, taking care of this, we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're driving, we're going to work, we're doing that. We're like, we don't want to deal with that. So we tuck it away, put that in the back, we'll deal with that later. It's just, I don't know. And a lot of times, a lot of people, I'm not going to just say women, but I'm just going to say people. A lot of people just don't like to unpack. That's spiritually, that's physically, that's literally.
Mhm.
Y'all know y'all don't like to unpack. Y'all come back to that vacation, y'all like, nah, that bag sit over there for a week. maybe 2 weeks, and don't do. And then when you have kids, they bag sitting over there. You just go and dig through it, get what you need, and then you be like, I'll unpack it later. I can't, because you know what comes along with unpacking, right? You got to wash clothes. You got to put things back to where they were, and you're like, oh, don't let nothing spill in the bag. Oh Lord, now you got to go get some Clorox wipes and clean that up. So a lot of people don't want to unpack. We don't feel like unpacking. So that's just literally speaking. Emotionally speaking, that's a whole nother different situation, because now you're getting ready to open up a bag full of all types of little stuff, secrets, skeletons, all things that just hurt you so badly that now you have to go and unpack all of that. And people just don't want to do it. They feel like they don't have the time. I don't have the energy right now. You know how you just say to yourself some days where you're just like, I don't have the energy to deal with all that. And you're like, I can't. Like, I want to be happy today. I don't want to deal with that. I want to be happy today. And a lot of people, everybody's emotional baggage is different. Some people have severe emotional baggage. Some people have mediocre emotional baggage. And you just don't know what you're going to get. You just don't know what's going to pop out the bag. And you like, nah, I just keep you locked away, stored down in the basement underneath some cement, and I'll deal with you later. And it's just like,
She said
that's how
cement,
people
y'all.
live. Cement. Because that's how it is for some people. Yes, cement. Bury it underneath. Don't even want to deal with it. But I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to, in order
Yes.
for you to really break off that shell and really fly and soar high and do all the things that you want to do. You got to deal with it. And I know you don't want to, but eventually you got to unpack the bag, and you got to deal with all the emotions that you just stored away for so many years.
Before you go, Lady Coltrane, I do want to point out, I don't know what Lady Bush has overcome, but let me tell y'all, she is packing stuff in cement. That means she has been used to hiding and burying her emotions. Her emotions run deep.
Woo!
Anybody that packs their stuff in cement play no games, not near one. Come on, Lady Coltrane. I got some comments I want to put up because these are some interesting comments.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I
Lord.
was just going to say, maybe we don't unpack because it forces you to deal with all the pain that it may cause. Nobody wants to intentionally, I'm not going to say nobody, some people do. Most people don't want to intentionally inflict that pain on themselves. It causes you to look at yourself. So when you have to look at yourself, you have to be willing, like you said, to do the work. Maybe we're not willing to do the work in order to fix it or to overcome it. So we don't want to deal with that pain that it takes to overcome it. I am one of those people who it takes me forever to physically, to for real in everyday life, unpack luggage. I'll unpack the kids, but I won't unpack myself. I'll go in that bag. I'll get out the little toiletry bag. I'll get out what I need. I'll take out the things that I need to get through the week or to get through. But I don't want to unpack because then I'm washing everybody else's clothes. Like we just want to deal. We just want to get through on the day to day and not necessarily deal with the pain that it may cause or deal with all the extra stuff that comes along with it, like Arnesia said.
So I absolutely love where y'all ladies are going. And I love that the men are about to tap in because I haven't shown some of these comments because I wanted to get this out first. And then I want to show and kind of address a couple of things. But gentlemen, while you guys are lining up, I want to hear why some men refuse to unpack or even acknowledge that they are carrying. They think they carrying duffel bags and they got 7-piece luggages. I would love to hear, that mindset. But I want to Miss Delonda, she is in our chat, in our group. She said
Ooh.
some people like the
Mm,
attention they receive. I wanted to pause before I started putting some of this stuff because y'all are
that's a
dropping
good one too.
some nuggets and I didn't want it to get
That's a good one
overshadowed by the
too.
conversation. She said some people like the attention they receive. That hands down is a hit for me because I definitely believe that if you are a person that requires a lot of attention, you don't realize that that's actually your baggage. And if you unpack it, what you say, Delonda, if I unpack it, that basically means I got to be content with myself, by myself, for myself. And that doesn't always feel good being left alone with myself. Sometimes people are not happy with and by themselves. So I want y'all to know that that was a heavy one.
That
Miss Card,
was.
wasn't that heavy? Some people, they need that attention. They need that attention. Lady Caldwell said, fear that that if you open the bag, it will swallow you up, emotionally overtake or overwhelm you.
That's true too. That's
Listen,
true too.
that
That
was
is true
heavy for
too.
me because one of y'all said this. It was, if I open this up, I got to deal with it, and I can't deal with this right now. I'll
Hmm.
unpack the kids, I'll unpack my husband, but if I got to start looking at my stuff, I'm now going to get to a point that I can't take it. And I can't take it as a woman because what did you say, Talia? I'm literally having to take on your emotional issues, we've got kids and teenagers. They're coming into their own and trying to figure it out. I don't have time to focus on me when I got to focus on them. Uh, Pastor Bush says most women think with their emotions. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right. Let me tell y'all, he said, I could be wrong, but it's the I believe I'm right for
Yeah, I
me.
believe I'm right.
It's the I believe I'm right. I'm pretty sure
I think
that
I
I'm
heard the
right.
quote. I think I've heard a quote or saying emotions
You right.
are terrible leaders but good teachers. So you don't want to lead with your emotion, but learn from them.
I
So I
love
think
Mm.
ever since I know I can be a very emotional person. Um, I think just by nature, but I always say God created us to have these emotions. We just need to learn how to deal with them. So there's nothing
right.
wrong in what we're teaching our 5-year old is there's nothing wrong with having the emotion or having the anger or having whatever it is that you're feeling. Feel the feeling, feel that thing, whatever it is. But this is how you need to deal with it. So there's nothing wrong with having it. But how are you going to inflict it upon other people, or are you going to choose to deal with it? So I like what he's saying there.
And I
Well,
want to touch on one thing. One
come on,
second. I'm sorry.
come on, come
One
on.
thing before we get sidetracked.
Oh,
When she said that some people um what did the commenter said? She said some people like it because they like the attention that they receive, right? And you said that can possibly be your emotional baggage. And this is so true because yes, some people like the attention that they receive. It's so true because a lot of them battle with the spirit of depression, loneliness, wanting someone to talk to, and they feel like people will only talk to them if they got something that they need to talk about. Meaning, I got to get this off my chest. I'm going through this and I'm going through that. I don't know how to deal with it. How you determine on whether or not someone truly wants to deal with their emotional baggage, give them things to do. So when you give them things to do and they do not do it, that is a clear determination that they like their baggage. They like to keep their baggage. It may be a Louis Vuitton or something. You know what I mean? They want to keep that. So if they want to keep their Gucci bag, if they want to keep their Gucci bag or they whatever bag, if they want to keep that, then there's nothing that you can necessarily do because they like their bags. They like to show their bags off. But that's one way of determining on whether or not that they're willing to really fight for themselves again or just keep their luggage, keep their comfortability, keep all of that right there. So I just want to make that point before we moved into something else. So.
I love it. Listen, I'm actually not done with Todd Bush. This one, let me say this before we move on. Let me say this. I'm gonna say I believe he's right. One of the things that I teach from a women's perspective, as I like to remind everyone that man was made in his image, but we were made from his emotions. And that's one of the main reasons why we have the ability to love as hard and as unconditional as not that men can't do it, but we were designed like that. And so I'm with you, Talcia. These are the emotions we were given. I think sometimes, with any vehicle, you have to learn how to operate them appropriately, or else there's going to be a lot of messy accidents.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely wanted to address that. Um, you know, uh, Pastor Brooks here said, unfortunately, some women can't unpack their emotional bags because sometimes they're carrying the bags of their parents, children, and men. Now, let me, before we jump on this comment, This would be the unintentional bag that you were given
Amen.
that you didn't know you had. So I see this a lot in women or men who are raising their children as single parents because
Mm,
somebody did wrong. They've now uh basically put him into a, come on, Pastor Brooke, let me tell you something. I love it. I love it. That is, I'm telling you, we were made in his
everybody
image.
preaching tonight.
We all listen. It's a house full of preachers. I would expect nothing less. So
God.
the one of the things that I've seen often is basically what we see is if you're raising your child as an independent parent, you now are angry. You look just like your daddy. You look just
Mm,
like your no good daddy. You act just like your mama. Those are not
mm,
always great feelings to hear or have or hold. So
mm,
now I grow up and I'm gonna be worthless like my daddy. I'm gonna be worthless like my mama, or I'm gonna be sleeping with everybody like my mama. And nobody is taught that, God created you with the purpose. He says, I know the things that I have for you. They are not for, demise, they're for good. They're not for evil, they're for greatness. We don't get a
Wow.
chance to do that. So I wanted to just kind of, and I saw y'all shaking heads before I'm gonna put my mic down because this thing we could start passing plates in a minute. But I definitely wanted to address this because how many times have you been in bad relationships and now his issues are now your issues? Her issues are now your issues. What do you all think about that?
mm.
I think while that may be true, because I think just as women, we have a womb we carry, period, by nature. That's how God created us. So we do, people feel like they can dump on us, and we feel like we have to carry these things. Nobody told us we had to carry these things. I can listen to your issue, I can acknowledge your issue, but that doesn't mean I have to claim it as my own. So I think we have to know that while I'm looking at this baggage, it has your name on it, it's yours, I don't have to accept it as my own. I can teach you how to, help you, teach you how to deal with it, or we can go to God and we can pray about it and figure out how to handle it. But I don't have to carry it as my own. I don't have to identify with whatever it is that is yours. Even if you are my wife, my husband, my child, my mom, my dad, whoever, I don't have to do that because it is not mine. And I think we just have to know that, like, yeah, God created us to carry. He created us, as a vessel, but that doesn't mean I have to carry these things. He never intended for us to do that. I think we have to be careful about taking on that God complex. He never intended for us to do that either. So we just have to know that that's not the purpose of why we're here. Everything that we do should point back to God. So if somebody gives me an issue where I'm dealing with this issue where this and this happened to me, I have to know where to carry it to. I have to take it to the creator, the
That's
person
right.
who allowed this thing to inflict you. You have to know to do that.
That's right.
She said we have, yeah, did y'all hear that? I wish I could rewind. Y'all make sure y'all go back and catch this replay. Share it with your friends, share it with somebody. Somebody needs to be delivered on today. She said that we have a womb and we are meant to carry. And just because we carry doesn't mean we need to carry everything, is what I heard. I heard we don't always need to
That
carry
is so
everything.
big.
That is not only big, that will be utilized. If y'all hear it repeated, I want y'all to just say amen and
Just know
remember.
where it came from.
Just I was gonna say, just remember where you heard it, because
Just
if I
remember where
repeat
you
it, just
heard it.
say amen. All right,
Amen. That is so deep. That
isn't
is
that
so
deep?
deep.
She said, we were born with wombs. That is our job. Our job is to carry, but it doesn't mean that I have to accept what is not meant to be carried by me. That's heavy, y'all.
Man.
Packing up is easy, but unpacking is draining because you have to sort through what's clean and what's dirty. Hashtag time consuming. Listen,
Uh-oh.
that's a
Uh-oh.
message. That's a
Uh-oh.
message. Because what did you say? Who said that I want to go in and get a toiletry, I want to get something, but I don't want to have to deal with what is exactly inside?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the rest of the stuff. I just want this. We want to hand pick. I want this, this, and this. I don't want all that
I
other
just need
stuff.
my toothbrush. I just need my shampoo. It's like, but your whole life is just, okay. Sitting over there in
Disorganized.
the corner.
You're living in pure chaos and you're going to sort through it just to meet your essential need. I
Yes,
love it.
ma'am.
I love it.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm just gonna ask this question
Come on.
because I just want to know, have y'all ever lived out of a suitcase?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Have you
Yes. You
ever
better answer
you
that question. Yep.
so y'all know what it's like living out of a suitcase, right?
A hot
Yep.
mess.
Mind you, I lived out of a suitcase before. I don't know when. I don't know where. I forgot. Maybe when I was in college sometime, because college students, we be everywhere. But I lived out of a suitcase, and I try to keep it nice and neat, at least keep things folded so I'll know what I need, what I go reach for, what I need, whatever. Mind you, I have to do that every day because it's hard keeping luggage neat. Okay? It's hard keeping it clean and just, stress free, might I say. And I literally was like literally trying to keep everything clean. I'm like, this is not working. I need some drawers. It's like, what is happening? Give me some hangers so I can hang up my stuff. Like, this is not working for me. So I cannot imagine emotionally and spiritually just living out of a suitcase, living out of just a baggage because it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be clean. It's not going to be functional. It's not going to be efficient. No matter how many times you go in and fold up them same shirts, they're going to get all messy again once you go through looking for whatever it is that you need. And I just think it's so important that people realize that even emotionally and spiritually, you can't just keep trying to sort and straighten up your baggage. You got to put that stuff on a hanger or throw it in the trash or
Yep.
like sorry, not Reverend Bush, he's an elder now. Like Elder Bush said, find what's clean and what's dirty, right? So you just got to, go through your stuff.
I will tell you, Delonda, I threw that up there. She said irritated. That's how I felt. That's exactly the emotion I felt when I had to live out of my suitcase. I was irritated because sometimes I think I am able to I think I'm able to find what I need, but I can't find what I need. And then when I find what I need, it's not really what I want, or it's sitting there looking like something else. It is an irritating process. It is a complete irritating process. It is completely irritating. I love that you brought that up. Come on now. Now, I do, again, we're going to keep with this comment. So, Elder Bush says, oh, nope, that's not the one. He said, when we asked about the men, he says, some men refuse to unpack because they have been falsely taught that it makes you look weak. That right there is a message that I want to pay
Amen.
to be flown around on a blimp or some kind of plane.
Amen.
Oh, and I'm going to segment this, you all, because I think what we sometimes forget, beloved, is cultural uh, acceptance and unacceptance is there. We culturally are different, and not just as African Americans. I mean, there are different, cultures that believe in certain things and they teach certain things. And so, from an African American community, it's not taught that you openly accept your vulnerability, act vulnerable, go to therapy. Those are items that make you look weak. And so I think that alone kind of adds to our baggage because we don't want to deal with what's happening because the perception is you can't control yourself or you're sad, therefore you're weak. And that's not always the case. What do you think, Arnesia?
I think you're absolutely 100% right. There's a definite difference between how men deal with their baggage and how women
Yeah.
deal with their baggage and what men are taught versus what women are taught. And that's why people grow up, they become adults, they become grown-ups, they want families of their own, and they get together with that mindset and then bring so many different issues and traumas and emotions and different things that they haven't dealt with because of past just teachings. It's sad, and I wish things were different, that men will feel comfortable expressing their emotional baggage. And people forget that men have feelings too. People look at men like, you're not supposed to have feelings. You're not supposed to have your feelings hurt. Like, that's weak. You look silly. No, men have feelings too. It's okay for a man to have their feelings hurt. A lot of their emotional baggage comes from hurt feelings, and they
Yeah.
don't really want to acknowledge that. So, like you said, I wish things could be different. Hopefully it can. I'm still hopeful.
You know what? The funny thing about your hope is I definitely am with you. I'm standing with you on hope, but I don't see that being something that is going to continue as the generations move forward. I do think that we are generationally moving towards healing and mental acceptance, mental healing. We're looking for ways to be better, think better, and do better. I
Hmm.
do believe that that is going to change, but I think again, this is not just this surpasses gender. It's not just men and women. Like I said, if you knew anything about the Asian culture, they would rather basically leave this earth before they feel like they're a burden on their family or they don't some it depends on where you come from. That's exactly the exact comment that I think can saddle all of us all the time, anywhere. It makes you look weak. Um, as we're moving forward, I do want to ask, let me see, as we are, so I know that we kind of talked about um, how you would identify, or, just how we should identify it. I want you to just kind of walk me through, especially being a life coach. How do you suggest, um, how would you suggest that someone take the steps to identify their baggage? What are some steps, you all? So before you say that, what I'm thinking of is not just, hey, we need to be accountable, but if I'm looking to see if there's anything wrong, what are some steps I can take to be a better version of me?
I would say, to anyone that wants to move forward, reflection. And reflection is not necessarily accountability, it's more so turning the mirror on you, because everything that we deal with, it always starts with us, right? So I would say reflection would be a really important thing to acknowledge, because that not only looks at everything that you have dealing with, it also looks at everything that what has been done to you as well. And then why you are acting the way that you're acting. So I would say reflection would be one. And then I would say, as far as moving forward, forgiveness would be two. Because in order to move forward, you have to leave the past behind. And in order to leave the past behind, you have to learn how to forgive. Forgiveness is very easy to say, but it can be very complicated to do, because it could be someone who really, really hurt you. And then it also could be someone who's no longer able to communicate with. They may have passed, or something may have transpired to where you cannot even reach out to them. Forgiveness, and also letting yourself, knowing what your self-worth is, because us as people, we do lack, some of us do lack self-respect and self-worth and self-love, and we don't know how to truly give ourselves all those things, so we just allow things to just pile up on us, and we just carry it through life because we feel like that's what we're worth. Knowing your self-worth. So if I was to, sum it up all into three, I would say forgiveness number one, reflection number two, and then self-worth, self-love number three.
What about you, Talia? Do you have anything different that you would tell someone?
I missed the beginning of it,
Uh,
so
it was just, what steps should someone take in order uh, to identify that they currently have it and resolve it?
you said that they have what?
What steps would you suggest someone take to identify that they have the emotional baggage and even to resolve it?
I think forgiveness plays, like she said, plays a major part in it. Sometimes we have to learn to forgive ourselves. So forgiving other people, but also learning to forgive yourself for whatever may have transpired, whether sometimes we feel like things that happened to us were our fault, even though they may not have been our fault. So just learning that. So forgiveness. Um, Sometimes you do have to. I think I was reading the comments where it talks about family baggage, and sometimes we can leave. You can't leave your family because they're always going to be your family, but maybe not necessarily being in certain environments or not engaging in certain things with those family members, or if it makes you feel a certain type of way, maybe I don't have to deal with them. They're still my family. I love you, but I'm choosing not to be a part of this. So knowing that you have a choice and you can choose not to be a part of certain things, even if they are your blood family. So forgiveness, knowing that you have a choice, and then just being able to move forward. That forgiveness, it just plays a major key to me.
I love it. I didn't want to put this up while you guys were talking. And I was trying to find out who you are, Facebook user. If you guys are in the Daughters of Esther empowerment group, there is a link that says, that you can click so that way your name will be identified. But I'm not necessarily sure who posted this or where this comment came from. But it says, I think family baggage never gets resolved because they do not hold anyone accountable or call it out. Let me tell you all the funny thing about this is next month's segment, just to give you all a quick preview and commercial break. Next month's segment is actually addressing toxic families and ending the generational curse. So we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be, lifting that rug and pulling out what's up underneath. But you are absolutely correct. Emotional baggage oftentimes stems from people that love us so much. And it's one of those things where, again, it becomes an unintentional baggage that you're carrying because it's primarily something you don't address because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. What's the song? We don't talk about
And
Bruno.
if you do talk about it, if you do bring it up, if you do
Mm-hmm.
hold them accountable, you are stamped as the black sheep of the family. Because what you're saying is going against how we've been doing things for all these years. So you need to go and get out. It's just like, man, you can't say nothing these days. So in order to get
No.
along, to play along, to get along, everybody's just like, that's
At
just
that
how
point,
things have been going.
it's one of the things. What it called will say. I know you got a Gucci. We know you got a Slucci. But listen, at this point, there's nothing I could say to make you go and get a real one. You want to carry your fakeness around. I'm just gonna live with it. Chelsea, were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say that's unfortunately it is the truth, but it is detrimental to. I can only speak to African American families because that is where I come from. Unfortunately, it is detrimental to the African American family. Sometimes, if we're talking about baggage, we know a lot of times baggage can stem from abuse. A lot of times, you see abuse of all forms happening in families by that uncle or by that family member or that close family friend to that child, and it's never spoken to. It's never that child feel like they can't speak out because they don't want to ruin the family structure.
I am that black sheep.
It's
Me too.
unfortunate that happens. Um, but it definitely it needs to be dealt with.
Listen, I promise y'all, tune in next month. That is February's topic. We are going to have a licensed therapist. We have a couple of panelists. And when I tell you all that we are going to talk about it, we are all going to expose ourselves. And we're all the black sheep, if I can be honest. I think we're all black sheep because we're willing to talk so we can be better. We don't want to be the same person we were. So as we wrap up, ladies, I have enjoyed in dash JOY apostrophe D you all today. I hope you
Got
all
it.
have I hope you all have loved and heard what you had. I want to know, what are some uplifting words that you would like to leave with the participants today?
I would just say know your self-worth, know what you're willing to deal with and what you're not willing to deal with. Moving out of toxic environments will help you eliminate emotional baggage tremendously. And if you are in a situation where you can't just get up and go, or you just can't get up and leave, then those are the opportunities where you can either be the black sheep, speak out, say what's wrong, say what the problem is, or you can find someone to confide in and find some way to release all of that negative, emotional, whatever. Get it off, get it out, talk to whoever you need to talk to. Go get a therapist, go talk to your pastor, go talk to a friend, go talk to whoever. But make sure whoever you talk to is unbiased. That is very important. Do not talk to anyone who knows what's going on. Always talk to someone who is unbiased. That's very important. And just continue to allow lessons to be learned while you're in the process of this thing called life. That's all I have to
I would just say what has been and what is to come is more, what is to come and what is now is more important than what has been. So just know to be in the present and look forward to the future.
say.
That
Amen.
baggage that you're carrying on a daily basis, it doesn't have, you don't always have to carry it. It's painful baggage. It's painful to carry it. It's weight. You don't always have to carry around that heavy weight. Um, you can unpack it, and there are lessons to be learned in unpacking that baggage.
Amen.
I love it.
Amen.
I do want to ask you, ladies, before we wrap up, I want to know, how do you personally plan on continuing to go higher?
Always being open minded to the change within myself, noticing and taking extreme notice of the woman that I am continually to be becoming, and encouraging that woman, praising that woman for the sacrifices that she has made to be in the position that she is in today. Always recognizing when I'm happy and always recognizing when something's off and wrong within myself, because I have to start here first in order to impact anybody. So that's my plan to move forward.
I love it. I love it. I am so grateful, you all, for our panelists today. I'm so grateful for you all that have chimed in, more than I think you know, and it's primarily because you all know my heart. I am a fan of healing. I am a believer in evolving, and I believe that we need to move forward and we need to go higher in order to be better. So, one of the things that I want to leave you all with is, it doesn't matter what you all packed. It really doesn't matter what's in that particular suitcase. Whatever's in it can come out of it. Do not ever
Amen.
think that you guys are in a position to where, because you have been forced to carry it for how many ever years, that you have to continue carrying it until you're called home. That is absolutely false. You do not need to do that. You all have the opportunity to sift through your luggage. And just like Elder Bush and Elder Brooks said, you can sift through it, you can clean it out, or you can check it somewhere else. And you all know that I'm a believer in checking it in with the King. Go to church, find a God to serve that is going to serve you, and make sure that you get with someone that is going to hold you accountable and assist you in doing the work. I'm
That's
so,
big.
again, yet so grateful and
Big.
thankful for my panelists, the vulnerability and the opportunity to open up that they've given us. Join us next week as we start to discuss toxic families and how we are ending generational curses. So we will get those flyers out. I cannot wait. Again, thank you all for joining us. Watch the replay, share it, comment. We want to see you all. Love our page as much as we love you. God bless each and every one of you all. Good night.